short revision of week 1 of Python, and today we are going to cover these 8 topics mostly. The first one is intro to Python and why do we need Python, what is the significance of Python in our learning. The second one is going to be the print function and the basic mistake that we can make with the print function. The third one is variable and so on, input function, difference between function and statement, data types, operator and expression, intro to the strings, and more on the strings. So let's get started with the intro to the Python and why do we need it. So as we know, Python is a versatile, high-level and interpreted programming language known for its simplicity and readability. It supports multiple programming paradigms such as procedural, object-oriented, and function programming. Python is widely used for the web development, data analysis, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so more many things. It basically means that Python is one of the easiest programming language that a person can learn, and still it is the most used programming language across the world. It is used in the multiple factors like in web development, data analysis, AI, and many more. After understanding all about the print function, let us see the variable and literals. So, as we know that variable are the those things whose value varies. Variable can act as a storage. It means that we can store any kind of value in it. Like here in example, here a is equal to 2. It is a variable. Variable can store any data type in it. For example, we can store a string as a value of a variable, a integer as a value of variable, a float as a value of variable, and many more things. And if we look at the literals, so the literals represent the first value that cannot changes. The literals are always on the right hand side, whereas the variable can be on the any side. And in easy terms, if we want to understand the basic difference between the literals and variable, so it is basically literal are the those things which cannot change, means that it is always fixed, whereas the variable are the those things which can vary. Now see all about the input function in Python. The input function is a built-in function used to take the input from the user during the program execution, and it pauses the program and wait for the user to type a value and press enter. The basic syntax is input followed by the parenthesis. Let's understand the input function in our code editor. Let's set a variable as, let's say, name is equal to input. Here we are going to enter our name, and if we do print name and run this code, what we get is a blank space where we are need to enter a thing. After that only the code will execute completely, and here you can also see that it is still running because the code is not executed properly until and unless we enter something in this box. Let's say we enter a random name, let's say Ram, and if we hit the enter, now the variable name is set with our input name which is Ram, and if we print the name we get the output as name. And one more thing, if you guys remember that I just said that the input function holds the program. What does it mean? It basically means that if we had a piece of code and that piece of code has a input line, then all the line below that input line will hold until and unless the user gives an input. Let's see this in the coding part. Let's say we enter, after this we enter print hello. Now there is no any restriction on this second line, so it must print directly after the first line. But if we run this, what we get is the first line is executing only, and this is still buffering, which indicates that the code is still in the running mode, and it won't finish until a user hit an input. Let us hit an input, say Ram, and if we hit the enter, then after that the second line is executed, which says the hello, which is here, and the third line says that the name, which is Ram. It is as simple as this. If we look in the more theory, then it says that we don't have to pass any kind of argument in the parenthesis of the input. It means that in this parenthesis we don't need to pass any kind of parameter. It doesn't require any parameters. Instead, what we can do is we can add a comment. To add a comment, we have to write a string. It can be basically used to tell the user or define the user what they actually have to do. Like here we are wanting the user to enter their name, so what we can write is type your name, or if we set another variable as age is equal to input, and we again add a comment as enter your age, and in the print part what we can do is your name is comma name comma and you are comma age years old. And if we run this code, then first we will enter our name, let's say Ram, and enter our age as 18. Then what we get is your name is Ram and you are 18. Okay, so there is a hyphen because here by a typo we added a hyphen. That's why it is showing a hyphen, nothing else. 18-year-olds. This is the same explanation that I just explained in the code editor. You can hold and read this also, which basically states that here inside the parenthesis we write please enter your name and press enter, and it will act as a comment which doesn't affect the code. It will just use usually in the code to specify the user that what they need to enter. Like here we are more on the focus to store the name of the user from this input, so that is why we add a comment please enter your name and press enter, so that when the user run this code they will see this comment of please enter your name and press enter, and they will get a blank space where they need to enter their name, and after entering their name they have to press enter, only then the name will be saved in that variable. Let us now move to the next example. This is the same example that we just did in our code editor. You can hold the lecture and see this also. Let's move on next. Now if we look in this example, we have two variables. The first one is num and the second one is number. In the num function we have the input function, and in the number variable we have another input function, but before the input function we have a keyword of int. So the only difference between these two variables, which both sorted input data from the user, is that the one is only an input function, so it will store the number in the form of the string, whereas in the second variable there is an external keyword int used before input function, which convert this string into an integer. Let us see this in the code editor also. Let me add a code part here, and let's say num is equal to input enter a number. Okay, and in number we are writing int input, enter a number. Now both are the same thing, just the only difference here is that it will store the data in the form of string, whereas it will store the data in the form of integer. Let's see this. To check this, we have to use the type function. So what we do is print type of num and then print type of number. And if we run this code and let us enter a number here, let's say 18, and in the number variable let's again enter a number as 18. Now if we look at the first output is for the num and it is saying that the class is string, whereas for the second output it is saying that the class is a integer value which is for the number variable. So it is clear that we can manipulate the type of result from the input function by providing some external keywords also. Statement. Now we have to look in data types. Let's just jump on it. Okay, so first of all, there are the many data type in Python, but right now in week 1 we are more interested in these 4 data type only, which is string, integer, float and boolean. First of all, let's see what is a string. We already using strings in our previous codes, like in the print function we are using string. So what is string? Anything written under the quotation mark is considered as a string. Example, hello, it is written under the quotation mark, so it will consider as a string. One, many of you think that it must be an integer, but it is still under the quotation mark, so it is again a string. Hello, world, these are the two different strings. Hello and word are the two different strings. Let's see some. And similarly integer, it is a whole number which can be negative, positive or zero, but without the decimal. It means that the integer should be whole number only and the decimal should not be a part of that. Integer values are known as int value. 1 is an integer value, but 1.0 is not an integer value. Although both are mathematically same, but in programming they differ, as 1.0 is considered as a float value and 1 is considered as an integer value. And if we look at the float value, so float is a decimal number. 1.0 is considered as a float because it is a decimal number. And similarly the fourth one is boolean data type. It has only two values, true and false, where the capital T of the true should be capital, where the T of the true should be capital and the F of the false should be also capital. There are many more data type, but for now it is enough for us. As we go ahead we will look at the more data types. And in the input function, if you remember properly, we use a function type to check the type of the data. So what is a type function? So it is one of the inbuilt function of Python that is used to check what is the type of the given data. The basic syntax is basically the print followed by the braces, and inside the braces we have to pass a parameter which is the data. Inside the parenthesis we have to provide the data that I already said. Example, type, and inside the braces we enter the one. If you look carefully, there is no any parenthesis followed and after the one, hence it is a int value. But if there is a parenthesis before and after one, then it become a string value. 1.0 is a float value, hello is a string value. Till now we are done with the intro to the Python. print function, variable, and inputs. Let us now see a basic difference between function and statement. Lot of you might pay attention toward my words that I lot use the word function and sometimes I use a word statement. Although this particular topic is not in this week, still I want to teach this topic and make a clear difference between these two so that in future you won't confuse between these two names, that what is function and what is statement. Let's see. The basic difference between a function and a statement is that a statement doesn't require the parenthesis, whereas a function does. uh, for example, we can think that print is a example of function, and we can see that here print, it required a parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis we wrote something, so it is a function. A function required parenthesis, whereas a statement doesn't require parenthesis. For example, if statement, and statement, in statement, and there are the many more statement that we will look in the future. And the one common thing about that all statement is that they does not require parenthesis. So just keep in mind that the basic difference between a function and a statement is that parenthesis. A parenthesis required in function, a parenthesis required in function, whereas a statement doesn't require it. Operators. Operators are the special symbol or keyword in the Python that are used to perform various type of operations. There are mainly three type of operator in Python. The first one is arithmetic operator, the second one is relational operator, and the third one is logical operator. Let us first see all about the arithmetic operators. So the arithmetic operator are mostly used to do operations within the numbers. Okay, that is quite clear with its name also. Let us now see the second line, what it say that in a mathematical expression, if at least one number is a float, then the output of the whole expression will also become float until or unless we didn't do any kind of external editing on the operations. What does it mean? That it basically means that suppose we have a arithmetic expression and all the number in the arithmetic expression are integer, means that they are without any kind of decimals, and there is a one number in the expression which is a float number, means that it is a decimal number, then the output of that particular arithmetic operation is always going to be a float number, means that the output is always going to be a decimal number. Let us now see different kind of operators in arithmetic operator. The first operator is going to be addition operator, and the symbol or the keyword used to represent it is a plus sign. So the plus operator is used to add any two number, and no matter whether the number is integer, float, or both. Let's see this in our code editor. What do you mean by this? It basically means that if we do print 2 plus 2, here we are using addition operator, and if we do, we'll get our desirable output. This is basically the addition operator. Now after that we have the minus operator. This is used to subtract the two number, and similarly we have multiplication operator. It is again used to multiply the two numbers, and the symbol used to represent it or the keyword for it is basically the asterisk symbol. Now after the multiplication operator we have a division operator, which is basically used to divide the given number by any number. The output from this operator is always going to be a float number. Let's see this in our code editor also. Let's do print 4 divided by 2, and if we do this we can see that the output is a float number until unless we didn't do any kind of external editing on it. Like we can change it to the integer value by providing a int keyword before the starting of this, and now the output will become a int value. And this is what actually our next operator is, that is going to be a floor division. So this is known as a floor division operator, which is basically two or double forward slash. It will divide the first number by the second given number and return the integer value of it. Let's see the example here. If we do 25 divided by 2, what we get is 12.5. If we do the normal division, because here we have a single forward slash, it means that we are doing the normal division, so we get a float number which is 12.5. But if we use the float division, which is like 25 forward slash 2, then what we get is the int value of 12.5, which is going to be 12. After the float division, our next operator is going to be modulus operator, which is used to give the remainder obtained by dividing the two number, and the keyword used for this is this percentage symbol. For example, if we see here, if we do 7 modulus t, we get 1, because if we divide 7 by 3, then the remainder is going to be 1. Similarly, after this, our next operator is going to be exponential operator, and the symbol or the keyword for it is basically the double asterisk symbol. It is used to find the power of a certain number, and it is look like something. If we do a exponential b, then it become a to the power b. Let's see an example here. Suppose we do print 5 exponential 3, then it basically means that it is 5 to the power 3, which is going to be 125. Now, earlier I just said that arithmetic operators are mostly possible on the numbers, but there is one arithmetic operator which is possible on string also, and that is going to be plus operator. So what it basically do is it will concatenate the both string, means that it will add the both string and make a single string. Like here in the example, if we see, what we do is basically we add the two string, like the first string is hello and the second string is world, and we are using a plus operator. So in the output it make a single string here by writing hello world without any space. Our next operator is going to be relational operator. Now, relational operator are those type of operator which are used to compare any two expression value or variable or any kind of data. The output of all the relational operator are always going to be a boolean value. It means that the relational operator gives the output in the form of only true or false. So the first operator is going to be the greater than. It is known as the greater than operator. So what it do is it will return true if the left hand side expression is greater than right hand side operator, else it will return false. Like here in the example, if we see, if we do is 5 is greater than 3, then it return true because the 5 is actually greater than 3. Similarly, if we do 5 is less than 3, it will return false. And similarly, our next operator is going to be less than operator, and it is known as the lesser. It will return true when the given condition become also true. And after that we have greater than or equal to operator, less than or equal to operator, double equal to operator. Now this four operator like greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, all these operators we are using since our childhood in maths by comparing two numbers. Now the fifth operator is something new for us. So in Python, if we want to compare two things whether they are equal or not, then we have to use the double equal to sign, and this is known as the equal operator. So it is basically used to check whether the given two expression are equal or not. If they are equal, then it will return true, and if they are not, then it will return false. Let's see this in the code editor also. Like if we do print 5 is equal to 5, then it will return true because 5 is equal to 5. But if we do is 5 is equal to 4, then it is not, then it will return false. And our next operator is not equal to operator, which is basically written as explanatory mark followed by a equal to symbol. It is basically used to check whether the given number is not equal to it or it will equal to it. If it is not equal to the given number, then it will return true, and if it is equal, then it will return false. It is basically the opposite of equal to operators. Like here we are using equal operator, so it is returning false. But if we use not equal to operator here by replacing a first equal to with the explanatory marker, and if we run this, then it will return false. Now, using a logical operator in any kind of mathematical thing or between the variable that store number is too easy, and that thing we are doing since our childhood in maths, like the comparing two numbers and returning true if it is greater than, returning false if it is less than. But using this logical operator on the string is actually something that we have to look at. How we can use a relational operator on a string. The first thing to keep in our mind is that all the English alphabet, whether it is a lowercase or a uppercase, have some Unicode value in it. Majorly, this Unicode value are responsible for comparing the two string using the relational operator. And with the same case letter, the order when we go ahead in alphabet, like we can assume as A has a Unicode value of 1, B has a Unicode value of 2, and the C has a Unicode value of 3, and so on. The Z has a Unicode value of 26, means that as we go ahead in the alphabet, the Unicode value increase one by one. And one more thing to keep remember in the mind is that the uppercase letter has always less Unicode value than the lowercase letter. It means that no matter which lowercase letter we are comparing with which uppercase letter, the lowercase letter is always going to be greater than the uppercase letter, as it will always have the more Unicode value. Like we can assume that the small a will always greater than or equal to the capital Z. Let's see the example here also. Like I just said that the small a is not equal to capital N, and this example is proving this also. Like here we are doing print is capital A is equal to small a, then it is returning false, because I just said that it is case sensitive, means that the lowercase letter have more Unicode value than the uppercase letter. So the correct expression is that small a is greater than capital A. And the reason also written here is same. It written false here because the capital A has a different Unicode as compared to the small a. Similarly, if we do print capital A is greater than a small a, it will again return false because the small a has the more Unicode value than the capital A. And this example is the proof of this. Here in the first part we write all the uppercase letter, in the second part we write all the small case letter, and we are comparing whether the small case is greater than uppercase, so it is returning true, which basically proves that the lowercase letter have more Unicode value than the uppercase letter, no matter which letters we are comparing. Now after this there is a one more important question in this comparison of string, that is apple is greater than aeroplane. First of all, let us understand how the Python will take this question. So Python will take this question as it will take the both string and take the each alphabet from the each string one by one. Like from the apple it will take a, and the from aeroplane it will take a at a time, and it will compare them on the basis of the given operator. Like here the operator is greater than, so it will check whether the small a from the apple is greater than the small a from the aeroplane. Since it is not and it is equal to, so it will skip it. But if it is less than, then it will return false, but it is equal to, so it will skip it. Now after a, or the first letter from the both, it will take the second letter from the both, and it will take the P from the apple and E from the aeroplane. Now we all know that the P comes after E, so the P have the more Unicode value than E, hence P is greater than E, so the Python will terminate this code and it will return true as P is greater than E. And this is what actually written here also. Let's dive in this question and see what happened. First, let's pick the very first element from the both string, and it is A from the both have the same Unicode value, so it will skip by the Python. And then moving to the second, comparing P with E, since E has a less Unicode value than P, so the given condition become true. Now the Python will terminate the examination and return true. After that, let's see another example, which is basically this example. In this example, in the first string we have A B C D E F G H I, all of the lowercase letter, and on the second string we have A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P. If we look carefully, in the second string we have the first string in it also, like A B C D E F G H I, which is the first string. So comparing one by one, Python will skip all this letter while comparing, and when it come to the last letter comparing I with I, it will again skip it. Now the first string doesn't have any letter left to compare but the string 2 have, so the string 1 fails to compare with the string 2, so it will return the false. Here it is also written the same. Here it return false because while comparing the string 1 with the string 2, initially it will get all the same value, so it skip all of them, and when it skip the last same value, which is I from the both string, now the comparison between the string 1 doesn't have more alphabet but the string 2 have, so that's why the condition become false. Operator is basically the logical operator. So the logical operator in Python are used to perform logical operations on value, often Boolean values. So there are mainly three type of logical operator. The first one is AND. It basically give true only when the both condition become true. Let's take the example here. We have four variable here. A is assigned with the 5, B is assigned with 3, C is assigned with the capital A, and the D is assigned with the small a. And our first variable is asking a relational operator, which is asking whether A is greater than B. So yes, 5 is greater than 3, so flag 1 store a boolean value of true, whereas the flag 2 will store a boolean value of 3. Now since I just say that the AND will return true only if the both condition become true, else it will return false. Since here we are asking print flag 1 and flag 2, means that we are asking true and false. Since there is a one condition which is true and the other condition which is false, so it will return the false. Similarly, our next logical operator is OR. Now it will return true even when one condition is true. Like here in this example, we have the same example of the previous example, where the flag 1 is true and the flag 2 is false. Now we are doing print flag 1 or flag 2. Now flag 1 is true but the flag 2 is false, but the operator we are using is OR, so that's why it become true. Similarly, our third and the last operator is basically the NOT operator. It is basically used to convert a one boolean value into its opposite value. Means that if we have a boolean value of true and we are using not on it, then it will convert it in the false. Like here in the example, we have flag 1 as true and flag 2 as false, and we are using print flag 1 and not flag 2. Now remember, flag 1 is true but flag 2 is false. Now we are using not flag 2, so from false it will convert it in true, and the flag 1 is initially true but the flag 2 is initially not true, and we converted it in true by using the not operator here. And now the flag 1 is also now the flag 1 is true here already, but this part also become true here. So the result is basically true and true, which return true also. After the operators and expression, let us now move to the more on strings. As we are already introduced with the strings, we are now do some more methods and some different things on strings. First, let's see what are index in a string. Index in a string. So, index is a particular value that is assigned to the position of each elements in the string, and it is start from 0. For example, let us take a variable as var is equal to, let's say, make a string a b c d e f. Okay, so what does that index means? So if we try to make the index value, then a has a index of 0, b have 1, c have 2, d have 3, and similarly e have 4 and f have 5 index value. So in more easy way, we can say that index value are the position number that are assigned to the each element in a given string. In more simple way, we can say that index values are the positional number that starts from 0 that are assigned to the each element of the given string. Now, after understanding the index in a string, the one of the most important use of the index is that we can get a particular element using that index. What does I mean by saying this is basically, here inside this variable var, if we want to obtain a particular value, let's say we want to obtain only c, then what we can do is basically we can obtain it by using its index value, and the index value of c is basically going to be 2, as a will take the index value 0, b will take 1, and the c will take 2. So index values are used to obtain a particular number or particular element from the given string. And how can we do that? We can easily do that by basically doing, let's say, required. Let's say we make another variable var is equal to var1 is equal to, let's say, what we have to do first is we have to enter that variable from which we want to obtain that element, and after that we have to add the large braces, and inside the large braces we have to enter the index value of that particular element which we want to obtain. For example, we want to here obtain the c, and the index value goes with the c is 2. So if we enter the 2 here and then print var1, what we will get is basically c. So this is the one of the most important concept that is going to be used for the index, that we can obtain any particular value from anything by using its index value. Now after this index in a string, we have to now understand What is string slicing? String slicing. So string slicing, it is a method in Python that is used to trim the string or obtain a particular part from the string from the given starting index value to the given ending index value. What does it mean that? Let's take an example and understand this. Let's again take a variable where is equal to, let's say, a b c d e f g h. Okay, now we understand that a has an index value of 0, b has an index value of 1, and so on. h has an index value of 6. Okay, before jumping to the string slicing, one more thing to keep remember in the index in a string is that we can also do negative indexing. It means that if we go from the right hand side, then f has an index value of -1, e has an index value of -2, and so on. D has an index value of -3. So if we do variable where -1, then what we obtain is the very last element f. And similarly, if we do -3, then what we do is the third last element, which is going to be D. Now let's get back to the string slicing. Now suppose in this string we want to obtain the DEF part from the given string. In such case, what we can do is basically string slicing. First, let's see the basic syntax of string slicing. For the string slicing is basically the string name followed by the large braces, and inside the large braces we have to provide the starting index value followed by a colon, and then provide the ending index value. And here also the point to keep remember is that it will go till the ending index value, means that the actual last index value which it take is basically the given last minus. And there are the few more things which we have to keep remember for the starting index value and the ending index value is that the starting index value has a default value of 0 and the ending index value has a default value of -1. This is what actually written here in this 3 points also. If we don't provide the starting index value and only provide the ending index value, then it will start from the very first element, or basically it will start from the 0 index value, because the default value of the starting index value is 0. And similarly, if we do not provide the ending index value, then it will go till the very last element, or basically the -1 index, which basically states that the ending index value has also a default value of -1. And similarly, the third point states that if we do not provide any starting and ending index value, then it will just replicate the whole string as it is in the original. So let's see this in our code editor also. Okay, so few things to first remember is that starting index value have a default value of 0 and ending index value have a default value of -1. Now in this example, this particular example of where is equal to a b c d e f g h, we want to obtain the def part from this given string. So what we can do is basically, let's make another variable as var1, where we can store the output of this string slicing. And we can do is what we can do is we have to enter the variable name where the string is stored. So the variable name is basically the var followed by the large braces, and inside the large braces we have to provide the starting index value. Since we want to obtain the def from this given string, so we have to check the starting index value, or basically the index value of d. So the index value of d is basically a goes for 0, b goes for 1, c goes for 2, and d goes for 3. So the starting index value is 3, and we want to obtain, and since we want to obtain def, so in the ending index value, the index value which we have to enter is basically the f index value plus 1. Then only it will take the f index value. The index value associated with the f is basically d goes for 3, so the e goes for 4, and the f goes for 5. So we have to enter the ending index value as 6. So the actual ending index value, or the last index value it will take, is given last minus 1, which is basically here is 6 minus 1, which is 5. So the fifth is basically f. Now if we want to print this, or now if we print this, we will get our desirable input, I think so. And if we run this, we get def. Now similarly, I just said that the starting index value has a default value of 0. So what we can do is, instead of 3 here, we do not provide any starting index value. Now as per the point I just said, it should be start from the starting index value 0. Now if we run this, we can see clearly that the starting index value it take is basically 0, because a has a starting index value of 0, and it will go till the ending index value of 6, which is basically the fifth index value, which is goes for the f. Now similarly, if we provide the starting index value and do not provide the ending index value, then from the given starting index value it will goes to the very last element, which is basically the h here. Now one more thing I just said is that if we do not provide any starting index value or the ending index value, then it will replicate the string as it is. So let's do not provide any starting index value and the ending index value, and if we run this, yes, it replicate the string as it is. Now if we look here, the example I have taken in this theory part, then it is also the name is equal to a b c d e f g h I j k l m n o till p, and we are doing the print from the starting index value is 3 and the ending index value is 8, which basically is 8 minus 1, means that it will goes to 7, which basically gives the output of def gh. There is one more important concept in the string slicing, which is basically the jump in string slicing. So the basic syntax for the jump in string slicing is basically the given string name followed by the large braces, and inside the large braces we have to provide the starting index value followed by the twice colon, and then in the end we have to provide the jump index value. Yes, here we have to provide the jump index value, not the ending index value. So what it actually do, it will start from the starting index value, and from the starting index value it will add the jump index value and take that element, and again from that particular element it will again take the jump index addition on it, and again take that particular value, and it will goes until the very last element occur. It is also written here that take the element of the starting index value, then its next index value which it take is starting index value plus the jump index value. Let's understand this in our code editor also. So what we are understanding is basically jump in string slicing. Now suppose in this variable what we can do is where 3 is equal to where, as let's suppose the our starting index value is 1 and the jump we provide is 2. So what it basically do is it will first take the element of the index value 1, then the index value it will take is 1 plus 2, which is going to be 3, and then again the next index value that it will take is 3 plus 2, which is going to be 5, and similarly thus so on next. And if we try to print this also, we can verify this. Here if we see, the first output is B, which is basically for the index value 1, and after B the second output is D. And if we look at the index value of D, then it is basically A goes for 1, B goes for 2, A goes for 0, B goes for 1, C goes for 2, and the D goes for 3, which I just said that 1 plus 2, which is 3, and similarly 3 plus 2, which is 5, so the D goes for 3, so the E goes for 4, so the F goes for 5, and after 5 the next value it will take is basically the 7, which will be H. So the jump in the string slicing is basically the starting index plus the jump index concept, which is used to take the next index value for the output. Jump in string slicing, there is one more important concept in string, which is string replication. Let's understand the string replication in our code editor. So what we are going to do is string replication. What is string replication? So it is a method in string or many other data collection that is used to repeat a data collection as many times as we want without any gap, which basically means that suppose we have a variable as hello and we want to repeat this string 10 times, then what we can do here is basically we will replicate this string 10 times. And here, to replicate a string or any other data collection, we will use the multiplication operator from the arithmetic operators. So what we will do here is basically print the data collection name into the multiplication operator, and then since we want to multiply or replicate it 10 times, so we will enter the 10 here, and if we run this, it will enter the hello 10 times as hello. The string replication, there is one more important concept in the string, is basically reversing a string. So how can we reverse a string? Before understanding this, first understand what do we mean by reversing a string. It basically means, suppose we have a string as ABC, then reversing a string basically means we will obtain CBA. So to reverse a string, we will basically use the jump in string slicing. We will use jump in string slicing. So what we have to do is basically So what we have to do is basically where 5 is equal to, let's say, the given variable name followed by the parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis we have to do the jump in string slicing. But remember, we do not have to provide the any starting index value, so we will directly add the colon twice, and then in the jump index value we have to provide the -1. And if we run this, okay, so we have to print this also, where 5, and if we run this we will obtain our desirable output, which is actually written here also, that reversing a string or a data collection is one of the most important things which we have to do again and again in our Python code. So one of the easiest way to do this is just by using string slicing. So use data collection followed by the large braces, and inside the large braces we do not have to provide any starting index value, just we have to provide the jump index value, which will be basically -1. Now after reversing a string, there is a last concept in the string for the week 1 is basically how can we select the last n element from the given string. So how can we select the last n element from the given string? So to do this, we are going to use string slicing, as we only have to provide the starting index value, which will be -n, and we do not have to provide any ending index value. Like suppose we have a variable as where is equal to a b c d e f g h I j k l m n, and we want to obtain the last 5 elements. So what we will do is basically print where, and since we want to provide the last 5 elements, so we will do -5 and do not have to provide any index value, and if we run this we get our desirable output, which is jklmn. So that is all for the week 1 in the intro to the Python. Thank you.